Hello, hello, hello. It's me, Dana Malone, your Oklahoma cannabis paralegal. I'm getting a lot of questions as we get closer to the October 31st deadline for your OBNDD renewal. And the questions are all pertaining to the supplemental packet. Everybody's freaking out about this particular document, and I get it. OBNDD has not been forthcoming as far as communication regarding this packet, so I get it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to actually go through the packet, and I'm going to explain what you need to do, or what documents you need to provide, or how you fill it out, or whatever the situation is for that particular section. So this is what you will print off. If I remember correctly, it's 19 pages. And I'm going to try and put that in the link on the YouTube page, or in the comments on the YouTube page, so that everybody will have access to it. All right, so this page is just why they're doing it. Then you come to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs Control Supplemental Application Packet. That is this document. All right, so right here it says business name, pretty self-explanatory. Then your application number. So what is your application number? When you go in to do your OBNDD renewal, it'll give you an application ID. And if memory serves me correct, that is going to be your license number. So, that's going to be your registration number. And then you've got return complete supplemental application packet to, and it's got an address. It's to the OBN. And then underneath that is a checklist. And I highly recommend that as you do these things, that you check them off. You're going to have an affidavit, so that would be a check. Articles of incorporation, operating agreement, and management agreements. Articles of incorporation are for incorporations. Operating agreements are generally for LLCs. And then if you have management agreements with anyone to come in and manage your business or something of that nature, then they need copies of those. Self-inspection assessment, we'll go through that. Owner and property information form, we'll go through that. Employee identification form, we'll go over that. Site plan for medical marijuana registration, and we'll go over that. And certificate of occupancy, we will discuss that further. All of the above information must be returned to OBNDD as one supplemental application packet to be considered complete. All right. You upload all of this information that they're asking into your OBNDD portal. And we'll discuss all of that. But you must take this entire packet once you've completed it. You've already submitted your OBNDD renewal, but you must take this and all the documents that you used for your OBNDD renewal, and you must send this to OBNDD. They want the wet signatures of your affidavits, of the owner's affidavits. So you must send this in. So let's get started. Affidavit for medical marijuana registration. All right, so the affidavit is 4 pages. You put your name in up here. Well, county, state of Oklahoma, county of whatever county you are signing this document in and having it notarized. You read, it says, I blank am applying for the registration of a medical marijuana business with the Oklahoma State Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs Control, OBNDD. The name of the business is, and you will put the name of the business in here, and then you will initial over here. As you read each statement or paragraph, you must initial on the right-hand side of the page. And you do the same thing on page 2. You read everything because you are swearing to these things. I understand. I understand is what it says for each of these things. I attest on the first page, and then it starts, I understand. So you need to read them. If you don't read them, you're committing yourself to something that you don't know about. And if you don't know about it, then you're probably not going to practice it. So make sure you read them. Then you have page 3. It says, if you have previously applied with OBN, provide the name of the entity you were previously associated with and the contact information for any co-owners of the previous entity. Essentially, what they're asking is, have you been an owner of any other businesses, whether they're still in business or you sold it? You need to identify those. Now remember, they can find out if you're telling the truth because they have access to OMMA. All they have to do is run you through the OMMA. So be honest. And this is ownership, not I've worked for or anything like that. This is ownership. So if you have, then you fill this out. And if you've been involved with more than 2, then you probably need to make a copy of this so that you can fill it out. And then at the bottom, it says, briefly explain why you are no longer with the previous entity and why you are applying with different ownership or a different entity now. If you have never applied for an OBN registration with a previous entity, please write not applicable. Failure to disclose association with a previous entity will be deemed a material omission. If you've never been involved with another entity, then you just check this box up here. All right, page 4 of the affidavit, it says, by signing this, I acknowledge that I may be subject to both administrative and criminal penalties if the registered business fails to comply with any provision of the Uniform Controlled Dangerous Substance Act found in Title 63 of Oklahoma statutes, or any rules of the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs Control found in Oklahoma Administrative Code Title 475. This may include a $2,000 fine per administrative violation. I understand and acknowledge that this document is executed under oath and knowing false statements constitute perjury, which is a felony punishable by imprisonment up to 5 years. Those statements you must initial. Then you sign it, and you must have it notarized. It's very important that you have it notarized. So that is the affidavit. Articles of incorporation, operating agreement, and all management agreements. Okay, that's this section. If you are an LLC, you should have an operating agreement. Put that in this packet, upload that. If you are an incorporation, then you should have articles of incorporation. Put that in. Most importantly, if you have management agreements with anybody or any company, you must disclose that and put it in this packet. All right, moving on. Self-inspection assessment. All right. Self-inspection assessment is 3 pages. You'll put your business name up here. You'll put your address. Whomever is completing this document, whoever, anyway, the person that's completing this document must disclose their name and what date they're filling it out as the inspection date. This is a self-inspection assessment. Okay, the instructions are read thoroughly and answer questions either yes or no or NA where applicable. For all no answers, please list the reason why the requirement has not been met on an attached sheet. Do not leave any blanks. Assessments submitted with any blank answers will be automatically denied a registration. That's not rejected. That's denied. That means you will have to file for a new one and start the process all over again. And that's what it says here. So that means 2 registration fees. So it's very vital that this packet is completed correctly. It says, I blank your name am providing this self-inspection assessment to OBNDD as required to show that my medical marijuana business facility meets compliance requirements as listed in Oklahoma Administrative Code Title 475 and state statute. By completing this checklist, I am affirming with my medical marijuana business, I am affirming that my medical marijuana business meets the requirements listed and that those requirements must be maintained throughout the existence of the business. If issued a registration, I understand that I must notify OBNDD of any changes that take place from the date of this inspection, and if I fail to do so, I understand that there may be fines or penalties that occur. All right. Will records be on site? They should be. Will records be in paper or electronic format? It's not asking you if it's going to be one or the other. They just want to know that you're going to have them in paper or electronic format. So that should be a yes. Will records be readily accessible? They should be. Will records be available since business began? They should be. Will records include the total amount of marijuana harvested in pounds? Again, they should be. Excuse me. Well, yeah, harvested in pounds, yes. Will records document every instance marijuana was sold, transferred, purchased, or obtained? Should be. Will records include the total amount of marijuana sold or otherwise transferred in pounds? It should be. If for some reason the answer is no, you will need to write out on a separate piece of paper as to why it is no. You know, if let's say we didn't have manifests before, you know, you still should have some kind of documentation. But let's say that you had a break-in and your documents were destroyed. You need to disclose that. Will records include the name, license number, address, and phone number of all licensees involved in each transaction? Will records include the date of each transaction? Will records include the monetary value of the marijuana products involved in each transaction, including the total sale of purchase amounts? Again, if you don't have that information, you need to disclose why. You know, maybe when you first started out, you weren't required to keep records or transactional records. So just disclose that. Will records include all point of sale and tax records? Is metric tracking system in place? That should be a yes on everybody's. If you are operational, you should have metric in place. Is all in-process marijuana returned to the storage area at the termination of the process? If not, you need to explain why. If the process is not terminated at the end of the workday, is the processing area, tanks, vessels, bins, bulk containers containing marijuana securely locked with adequate security for the area or building? So, you know, just answer these truthfully and explain if it's a no. Does each building have a security alarm system? Answer truthfully. If someone makes unauthorized entrance to the buildings, does the security alarm system transmit a signal to a central station protection agency, local, state police agency, or 24-hour control station operated by the registrant or other source of protection approved by the OBN director? Again, answer truthfully, and if you don't, if the answer is no, then explain why. Is each building equipped with self-closing, self-locking doors? Are building doors constructed of substantial material commensurate, that word, CO, you know what I'm talking about, with the type of building construction? In lieu of a self-closing, self-locking door, or the doors to the building kept closed and locked at all times when not in use and kept under direct observation of a responsible employee or agent of the registrant when in use? So there's been a lot of questions about whether self-locking doors, self-closing and self-locking doors are required. Well, if you don't have them, they just need to be kept locked and someone monitoring it. At least that's the way I read this. Are the building doors either sliding or hinged? So sliding means this, hinged means, in and out. Are door hinges to the building mounted on the inside of the building? And there's a reason for that. And I'm not going to explain it because anybody can watch my videos. But there's a reason they want to know this. If hinges, the building doors are mounted If the hinges on the building doors are mounted on the outside of the building, are hinges sealed, welded, or otherwise constructed to inhibit removal? Are locking devices to building doors either multiple position combination, keyless entry, or key lock type? If using key lock on building doors, is a key control system in place that limits access to a limited number of employees? That means that there's a finite number of keys that go to a finite number of people. So, and you know who those people are, and you trust that they won't give anybody else a copy of the key or the key. If using multiple position combination or keyless entry system on building doors, does the system limit to a minimum the number of employees excuse me, with access or knowledge of the combination? Again, you want to keep it to a finite number. Are the buildings accessible only to an absolute minimum number of authorized employees? Are outdoor or greenhouse facilities completely surrounded by a fence with entry gate? Is the fence metal chain link with wire diameter of at least 9 gauge or larger diameter? I don't know the difference between 9 gauge or any of the other gauges, so I am not the person to ask about your fencing. Okay, is the fence at least 8 foot tall and meet the 6+2 requirement? Are fence support posts steel and securely anchored? Is the entry gate to fenced area metal chain link with wire diameter of at least 9 gauge or larger diameter? Is the entry gate to a fenced area at least 8 feet tall and meet the 6+2 requirement? Kind of seems redundant in the question, but answer it completely, even if you have to answer it twice. Is the entry gate to fenced area kept closed and securely locked at all times when not in use, and when in use, kept under direct observation of a responsible employee or agent of the registrant? I have been going to a lot of farms recently, and several farms I've pulled up, and no one has come out. And I was kind of alarmed at that. I wouldn't get out of my car until I saw somebody, because I don't know what their security protocol is, or I didn't know at that time. So you need to know who's on your property. So somebody needs to have that responsibility. You hear a vehicle pull up, you need to see who it is. Is the entry gate to fenced area kept closed and securely locked at all times when not in use, and when in, okay, I think I just read that one. Are the fence and entry gates in good repair? All right, we're almost done with the self-assessment. Do the fence and entry gates obscure the outdoor or greenhouse facility so that it is not easily viewed from outside of the fence or entry gates? Are the outdoor or greenhouse facilities accessible only to an absolute minimum number of authorized employees? That is your self-assessment. Now, whoever fills this out needs to sign it. And again, the wet signature has to go in the packet and to OBNDD. By the way, on the affidavits, every owner must complete an affidavit. Every owner must complete the affidavit and have it notarized, and their wet signature must be sent to OBNDD in this packet. Okay. Employee identification form. There's your cover sheet, and this is your form. So you just put the employee's name, the employee's home address, and does the employee meet criminal history requirements? Do you check yes or no? Any person with a non-violent felony conviction in the last 2 years or any other felony conviction in the last 5 years requires a waiver from the director of OBNDD to be employed in a business working with controlled dangerous substances. Now, it's the same as if you wanted to own a business. So if it's more than 2 years for non-violent felony or more than 5 years for a violent felony, then you're good. Attach photo identification for each agent or employee listed on this document. So if they work for you, you fill it out. And you also include a copy of their driver's license in this, behind this sheet. So you've got Joe Smith, you need Joe Smith's driver's license included in this. All right, property and owner identification form. Again, the cover sheet. All right. Ownership information. If more than 2 owners exist, please attach information for those owners on a separate sheet in substantially the same format. Ownership interest percentage shall combine to equal 100% or be considered incomplete. All right, so you have your owners of the business, and if there's more than 2, you have to put this information in the same format on a separate piece of paper. Then the landowner information is down here, and your landowner will have to sign this, and one of the owners will need to sign this. So it's pretty straightforward. Site plan for medical marijuana registration. Here is your cover sheet. Here is the form. We're almost done. Yay. Site plan for medical marijuana registration. You've got your business name, your business address, parcel identification number, number of permanent structures on the property. Please indicate the following: property dimensions, growing and storage areas, street names, driveway locations, and existing structures. You are required to notify OBNDD of any changes to the following site plan. All areas should be properly labeled. The top of this plan is north. So if your property doesn't sit north, south, east, west, then you need to make sure that you draw it to where whatever's pointed north is pointed north. And then you print and sign and date. So basically, you just draw a small outline of the property with all the buildings and structures. And then last but not least, certificate of occupancy, the dreaded section. What you need to do with that is anything that you upload or send to or file with the fire marshal's office. needs to go into that section for the certificate of occupancy. Now, there's a lot of people that haven't been able to obtain their blueprints and their site plan and all the other stuff. They need to have an agreement with someone that is doing this, and an agreement or a contract, and they can if you don't have your blueprints by the 31st of October, you will need to have an agreement or a contract with somebody that does this, a business that is doing the certificate of occupancy preparation paperwork preparation. And you upload that agreement or that contract to the COO spot on the portal. And then you put that contract or agreement in the certificate of occupancy behind the cover sheet. And you can complete your application. And remember, you must have your renewal filed by October 31st, 11:59 p.m. And I wouldn't take it down that late, because you just don't know what's going to happen. So, but you have that. So what I would recommend is that you put that agreement, then you mail this off. You mail off this packet to OBNDD at that address. That address there. And you can continue operations. Now, just so you know, and we're all clear, nothing I have said in this video is legal advice. This is just information regarding the supplemental packet. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm just telling you how this needs to be filled out. And with that being said, I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope everybody makes it through till October 31st. And if you need assistance with anything cannabis related, give our office a call, Bridie & Associates, 918-900-0470. Again, this is Dana Malone, and y'all have a blessed day. Thank you.